This video is about the configuration port tab, so let's take a look at it now. Go to the configuration icon here, which is the pencil, and click on it and bring up the configuration drop-down menu, and here we are at the port tab. The port tab sets up COM port settings, which you've already done using the toolbar. However, it's worth kind of going over the settings just to show that they can be adjusted right here if necessary. The serial and TCP radio buttons select data input. Serial is normally selected since this is where your micro is generally connected directly to your PC. However, selecting TCP is for acquiring data from the internet or a LAN via this particular protocol. We'll check on it now. And as you see, you'll have a status message. You can put in your IP address and your port number and certain other parameters, and then you can set this as a default. We'll go back to serial right now, since this is what we're going to basically concentrate on in this particular port settings. The COM port reflects the current COM port selected. Clicking on the question mark will refresh the COM port if it's changed, like now, and clicking on the drop-down menu, as you see, we only have a 20 in there, which is our COM port. You can do the same thing by coming up here to the toolbar, clicking on this particular question mark, and again, we only have COM20 here. Same thing down here with the baud rate. Right now we're set up for 9600 baud. We can click the drop-down menu and choose another baud rate. Once again, we can come back up to the toolbar, do the same thing. So the port tab kind of duplicates those two functions. What it doesn't duplicate are the next three choices, which are the number of bits in your message, the parity, and the stop bits. Normally micros are set up for 8 bits of data, but if you need to, you can change that to 4, 5, 6, 7, or 8. You can change your parity from no parity to even parity or odd parity, and you can change your stop bits from 1 to 1.5 or 2. So this gives you the choices. Now, the queue size can be changed to a higher or lower value to accommodate different data point rates. So right now it's set to 3,000, but it can be changed to anything from like 1,000 to even up to about 50,000. But once again, the larger numbers are really not recommended for good performance. Down here, there's a checkbox here, DTR enabled. If you're using an Arduino or other microcontroller that uses DTR to reset the firmware on program load or start, then keep DTR checked, otherwise leave it unchecked. Some of the other ones are use RTS, CTS for control flow. RTS is always on, meaning that you'll have that RTS signal always on if you want to power something from an RTS type on the other end of the cable. And then here's a special one called micro echoes data. Now, the other checkboxes that I just explained are kind of self-explanatory, except for this one. This is mostly for the parallax basic stamp that echoes data back when it's being programmed, but it could be for other micros that may do the same thing. Since MakerPlot will think that this echo is actually data being sent from the micro, it'll attempt to plot it or generate messages, and both of which will be something that's really not intended. So if you're using a parallax basic stamp or equivalent micro that echoes data, you should check this box, since the echo data will be tagged so that MakerPlot will ignore it as real data or as a message. So we'll uncheck it because we're not using a basic stamp here, we're just using a standard PIC micro. And finally, the message at the bottom says changes take effect on the next connect.